Hi everybody, I'm whispering because my little one is sleeping, but I just wanted to show you a video of what we make in a week for our meal prep staples. By the way, I'm Corey, this is Cloud Dojo. This is your spot for inspiration on living a healthy, happy, and vibrant life. Right, so every week we try to mix it up and do a few different things, but there's kind of a template that I tend to follow along. So I have about an hour and a half that I'll do like bulk meal prepping for the week. I either do it all in one day or sometimes I'll split it up into a couple of days. So without further ado, let's get into meal prepping. All right, I've got my little cheat sheets here. So I try to plan out what I'm going to meal prep for the week, some breakfast options, snack options, lunch options, and then I typically have certain dinners for different nights of the week. I haven't quite figured that out yet. So it's blank for now, but I can still get started on meal prep. This is my little meal prep checklist that I've made for myself. This has got a lot of flexibility in it. I soak grains and beans and cook those things. I cook vegetables, but I can mix and match what those are week to week. And then also I have options, like we either have edamame or fried tofu on hand. And then we also either do cucumbers or celery or snap peas as like a quick, that's just a veggie that our kids love to throw into their snacks. And then we also always have baby carrots because for one thing, that's really good for jaw development. And yeah, it's just like an easy one. So we always have that on hand, and then some type of roast vegetables, some medley of sauteed greens, and then I always want to do like one meat, and I usually just roast that with the veggies. So that kind of just gets me started for the week. So we're gonna do that. I'm gonna follow along here. I've got my rice and some farro. I'm gonna give these some water. Okay, so these are actually going to soak overnight. I'll probably cover them with a little cloth later. And then I also typically soak beans and sometimes nuts and seeds. I did a whole, that was my dishwasher. I did a whole bunch of nuts and seeds a couple weeks ago. I just did so many that they've lasted us this entire time, which is amazing. So I don't have to do that. And then for beans, I think I'm just gonna go with canned beans this week. So just the grains, and then I'm going to wash and chop up some veggies. Well, that didn't last long. So I had to go. My daughter was waking up and then I had a dance class. So that was my meal prep for yesterday. So it looks like we're doing the bulk of it today. I'm gonna start out with cutting up some fruit because my little one is home again today. So I'm gonna cut up some fruit for her and then I'll cut extra for the week. All right, first up we have this pineapple. My husband got this from the store like over a week ago and I've been avoiding it. So it's definitely got some brown spots, but we're gonna just try to save it, or save part of it. Woo! That's actually really sweet. Wow. Highly recommend getting your own real pineapple and doing this tiny bit of work. Although I do think waiting a little while helped it ripen and just made it so juicy. Nature's candy. Okay, while we're here, I'm going to cut up the rest of the fruit for the week. Normally, when I meal prep, I always like to think about my cutting board and washing it as few times as possible. So I would normally start with a less juicy fruit. Then pineapple, I would do that at the end right before I wash the cutting board. But she wanted pineapple now, so that's why we did that. I don't know about you, but as my kids started getting loose teeth and then just growing teeth, they don't like whole apples. So I like to have a lot of apple slices, pear slices on hand through the week. Okay, apples are sliced, but they won't last, they'll turn brown and then I will eat them, but I don't know if anybody else would. So I always hit them with a little lemon juice, and shout out to my daughter's kindergarten teacher who taught her about lemon apples. So now she knows that that flavor is just amazing because everybody in the class got introduced to it at once and loves it. And so now she wants that flavor, and we call them lemon apples and they last through the week. Last one. Bringing out the big Tupperware. Okay, probably could have thought that through a little better. Let's see. Okay, got it. Done. Might as well chop this orange. Ooh, juicy. I feel like meal prep happens kind of in one of two ways. Either you think about what you want, you go to the grocery store, and then you buy everything and you come home and kind of meal prep from scratch. But today I'm really mostly shopping my fridge, getting all the things that like need to get used up, the random little like one beet I have in my fridge and like one stalk of leeks, and just meal prep from there. All right, so I've been soaking these grains. I'm going to save the water because it actually makes a really good facial toner. Just gonna cover that with cheesecloth and let it ferment actually for a day or so, and then keep it in the fridge for like a week, and it'll be a really nice facial mist for like after washing my face. Okay, I just cleaned out my fridge, which is not for the faint of heart. I found some things. Some things I had to throw away, but we're gonna just move on. It's okay, we're strong, we're fighters, you know, this is what warriors do. We just keep meal prepping. So I did find some things I could salvage, like I'm gonna try, save this little sad beet here, and we're gonna do some roasting. So right now I'm chopping a bunch of stuff and I'm gonna just set it out on the roasting pans, and that will be like this really good, slow roasted, sweet things that we can add alongside lunches and dinners throughout the week. Ooh. I don't know how people on cooking shows do this without just crying their eyes out. Okay, that's done. Okay, I'm gonna go wash my knife and my cutting board. I don't know why I did the onions first. I'm just not making any sense today with my order of cutting things, but I'll be back. "12 hours later, we're done." Although really worth it to save this little beet.
This is so cute.
Okay, so we are going to cut these, and I want to cut them kind of long pieces because the onions are a little bit long, and then I'm also going to roast these extra baby carrots that we have. So I want to try to get a similar shape for everything just so it's a better mouth feel when we're eating it all. So I'm actually going to try to spread these out a little more onto 2 pans, but let me get everything mixed up first. Salt, pepper, garlic powder, paprika, thyme. Oh, that smells good. Olive oil. So in the blog a little while back, I talked about my principles that I like to follow for healthy eating that come from the Mediterranean diet. And one of the things I talked about was olive oil. Not only is it heart healthy, but it also brings out the flavors so much. I find that like traditionally in the Mediterranean diet, people are really cooking their veggies in a lot of olive oil. And I mean, it makes them so much more pleasant to eat, like than you've ever even imagined. If you haven't tried like slow roasting veggies in a good amount of olive oil, highly recommend. So I am just massaging these, getting my hands dirty. I don't know if I like the feeling or not, but it is kind of the best way to get the coating all around the veggies. With roasting veggies, it's kind of like with potatoes. I just feel like you want to over season a little bit than what you would normally think, because they will just soak up all the flavor. Okay, time to wash up. Okay, I also love to add roasted garlic to meals. We just cut this head in half, and we're gonna drizzle a little, well, a lot of olive oil over the top, and then just wrap it up, kind of making a little tint because I don't want the garlic tops to be touching the foil or they might stick when it roasts. Okay, and last but not least, butternut squash. I have to do this off camera. It's gonna get pretty ugly. I did it. Well, my number one method for cutting a big squash like this, which is wait until Sean gets home. It's not really an option today, so we made do though. We made it happen. All right, so I'm going to lay these flesh side down in these little baking dishes, yeah. And then I'm gonna add a little bit of water to them, and then all of this goes in the oven and roasts away. All right, so now that we have the veggies that take the longest to cook over there in the oven, let's tackle some veggies that don't take as long to cook. And I probably won't really be cooking. I think I'm gonna cook one thing. I'm gonna cook up the greens because we like to make a big mess of greens for the week. But other than that, I'm just gonna chop things, get things ready to throw into dishes throughout the week that we're just gonna like quick saute or steam or something like that. I think I'm gonna dice some carrots that I can just kind of use versatilely if I wanna do a soup or a little stir fry, but then I also know that I wanna make a cold soba noodle salad. So I'm going to take some of these carrots here and kind of peel them into strips so that I can have them be along with the soba noodles. I think that'll look and taste really good. Okay, let's dice everything up. I'm gonna use these little bits that wouldn't peel into strips so we don't waste anything. Seriously, dicing vegetables is like the longest part of meal prep. If I could outsource that, I definitely would. I don't know, not all the time, because sometimes it's kind of meditative. Like today I actually have time, so I could just remind myself to enjoy and settle into the present moment. You know, I think it was in the Zen temple that I used to spend a lot of time in, where I learned that in at least the Japanese Zen tradition, the way that the mindset, and I do really believe this is true, the mindset with which we prepare the food really makes a difference. And even the way all the vegetables are cut has a difference in how your body handles them. So in that case, I'm just gonna feel good and just think of how much I love my family, how much I want to nurture them. And yeah, it makes the chopping feel actually like an act of love in itself. We love broccolini, so I'm going to add that into my prepped veggies as well. We probably will just lightly steam this, so I'm just going to basically cut off the stems, the dry parts, and then wash them, and they'll be ready to go for the week. I don't know, it's just something about having that done, you know, rather than them just sitting with like the rubber bands on in the drawer when I come home and I'm tired and I've just like been rushing around all day and I just got the kids from school or activities. it's just having it there ready to throw in the pan, it makes a difference. Okay, last but not least, I have some kale, some like baby kale and spinach that really needs to get cooked. I'm gonna cook it with some collards. So I'm just kind of folding over around the stem and then peeling it away. If you have kind of a thick stem, sometimes you can just rip it out. So for greens, I actually like to cut them before I rinse them because I feel like it gets the water cleaning all the little nooks and crannies better. But before we do that, let's go outside and see if there are any greens ready in the garden. Okay, my last veggie to chop are some celery sticks to have on hand just to put in the lunch boxes or to have for a snack. And I actually had one cucumber hiding, so we'll slice that up as well. This will just be perfect for whenever the kids want a snack, whenever they're, home from school and hungry, or when they're packing their lunch boxes. Just pull this out, little hummus, or mayonnaise is also a good dip, or sometimes we use peanut butter, ranch dressing, but this will just be like the perfect thing to have through the week. So we always like to have some raw veggies. Here I go again, sauteing up another massive overflowing pan of greens for the week. Okay, while that's cooking down, I've got to stir these vegetables. Right now, I can just go ahead and get those beans coated in some of those yummy flavors. Yeah, and then I'll just let those beans kind of get crisped up a little bit as the veggies finish cooking. Okay, and then let's check on these guys. Good, so I can just pierce them with a fork, but it's not super tender. So now I want to just flip them over. And now I have to decide how I want to flavor them. So I could kind of go savory, a little olive oil, some herbs, but I think I'm gonna do a little bit of butter and maple syrup. Oh, it's like a steam bath. And it smells really good too, like savory aromatherapy. So we've got our greens cooking down. I want to give them a little bit of garlic powder. Oh, and actually remember, I have garlic like paste as well. We're just hitting garlic from all directions this week. And a little bit of soy sauce. And then just let these cook for a few more minutes and they'll be done. Oh my gosh. All right, I've got 2 more things I'm gonna meal prep for the week and I'm just gonna call it good. I've got a great head start. So we have in the fridge, I discovered all of these partially eaten. I think this is from the same loaf. So I don't know how it happened. I'm not gonna ask questions. I'm just glad I found them in time. And we are going to turn this into a delicious bread pudding. Like a French toast casserole, actually. This is really simple. I don't have a recipe. I just kind of, you can't go wrong. It's pieces of bread, it's eggs, it's milk, it bakes. Whew, only thing is it's a lot harder to cut. I tell y'all, cooking is a workout. All right, I'm gonna just rip these up. That is also better because it gives you more surface area for it to absorb all the flavors. Again, I'm pretty sure very few people are watching my channel still, but if you happen to be watching, I would love to know what your favorite type of casserole is, or if casseroles are a thing where you are. I think that they are not a thing everywhere. So, or maybe they are, but they just have a different name. So anyway, I would love to hear your casserole experience. So this is a local sourdough bread. That's kind of why we have so much of it, because whenever we see it at the store, we just like, oh, there it is, we gotta grab it. yeah, it's completely sourdough, so no added yeast, just like natural sourdough starter. And I digest it so much better. Like, this is the only way I can really eat bread. Just to make it, like, I know it probably would be better to make this all in a bowl and then pour it over the bread in the casserole, but I just don't want to wash another bowl. So we'll just make the whole liquid part of this right here in the casserole dish. Now I'm going to add in a little almond milk. And then we also had this kefir, which is kind of like buttermilk. It's a sort of like a very more liquid yogurt. Kefir, I think, is more correct. Kefir. Okay, and then some maple syrup and some salt. Obviously, the more air they get in them, the fluffier your casserole will be. I mean, if I did this in the blender, ooh, it'd be so fluffy. Then I'd have to like wash the blender. All right, so now I'm going to get all the bread in here and make sure I really stir it up so that it gets thoroughly covered. For my final act this afternoon, I shall be boiling some things. I'm going to boil some soba noodles so I can have some cold soba noodles on hand through the week. It's just, I don't know, something about cold soba noodles with a little bit of ginger and soy sauce. So soba noodles are really easy to cook. Actually, you just wait for your water to boil, add your soba noodles in, stir it around. Then you wait for the water to boil again. When it does, add in a cup of cold water. If you're adding veggies to your pasta, obviously add those at whatever time you need them to cook for, but for me, I'm just adding these for the last minute. Wait for it to boil again. When it does, add in another cup of cold water. And you can even do that a third time if you feel like they need to cook a little more. Drain it and you're good. So I actually drained that pasta water into another pot under my strainer so that I could reuse it, save water, and boil my eggs in it for the week. So I want some soft boiled eggs and some hard boiled eggs. So I feel curious to try like air frying eggs or using one of those little egg boiler steamer devices that you plug in. But I also love that I've discovered a way to boil eggs to make them really easy to peel. So I'm kind of attached to that, but I think it would be convenient. So if you've tried either of those other methods, please let me know in the comments below how easy are your eggs to peel. But I like the little trick of adding vinegar to the water. Then the way that I make my eggs so that I know exactly when they're soft boiled, I like a 7-minute egg. So for me, that means once the water boils, I add them in and then I take them out and put them in cold water after 7 minutes. The beauty of this meal prep is I have such a great head start for the week, but it was also just not overwhelming to do this. So we've got all our fresh fruit for the week. Our watermelon is all sliced up, ready to grab and go. And then we've also got our lemon apples and our orange slices. I already used up some of the greens, but we've got cooked greens to use for a side or maybe throw in lunches. And then I actually also defrosted some green beans and just added some salt. So that's a great side and a lunch thing as well that we can just add in. Then I've got my raw veggies to cook up for the week. I've got my diced carrots and then also my slices of broccolini. And then we've got raw veggies that we can use for like snacking, throwing into lunch boxes through the week and all that. Then we've got our beans. So this is a great protein that we really will just throw into lunches. It's such a great little kind of snacking protein, as well as hard-boiled eggs here. And then also some soft-boiled eggs. I just peeled the hard-boiled eggs to delineate them. And then we've got our starches. So we've got our butternut squash with the maple syrup and butter. We've got the farro. This is just unseasoned, and so is the brown rice. So I can just mix and match different seasonings through the week. And then we've got our roasted veggies. Oh my gosh, these turned out so sweet. So we'll use that for a side. And then the roasted garlic, I can kind of throw that into a whole bunch of different stuff through the week. And then my soba noodle salad turned out so well with edamame and shredded carrot. Then of course we have our French toast casserole. So I actually just had this for a snack with some coconut yogurt, some toasted sesame seeds, and some blueberries. And it was delicious. Makes a great breakfast as well. All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching this meal prep video this week. I hope it gave you some good inspiration. Here's wishing you a healthy, happy, and vibrant week ahead, and I'll see you next time in Cloud Dojo. Bye.